Hey everybody, I'm David with Bolivar Live, and this is our second take because Dan wanted to count off with me, and he went longer than I did. But anyway, we're always talking insurance or fishing or something. But today we've been doing a lot of shows talking with Landon and Beth, talking about building. And you said, David, let's touch on the subject of insurance for your build. I don't know, I guess maybe sometimes contractors carry that and sometimes homeowners, or how's it typically done?
That's really a kind of the tip of the iceberg conversation because it kind of depends. So who has an insurable interest?
Okay.
Right? So if there's a loan, there's a bank that needs to be part of the deal, like a lender would be, or escrow. The builder, if they're going in and they're building the house, not as a spec home, but they're contracted to build.
A custom home.
Yeah, they typically have overhead and profit that is insurable with it. And then the homeowner himself, they have money in the game.
Right, because they've made the down payment, took the loan out.
Yeah, and they're getting funded on a loan, and they have a loan to pay off, and they may have some equity in it too. So it depends on who owns the house, how it's being built, and if there's a lender involved in terms of who belongs to the policy. If the owner buys the policy, typically they would list the builder as an additional insured, and the bank, sometimes the builder would list it, and maybe would list the owner as additional insured. So it just depends who's doing what, but those three people typically have an interest in the building section for different reasons.
And this typically should be taken care of when someone's sitting down with their builder. They say someone's paying cash. Hey, are you going to cover insurance? Or even if they're paying cash, should the homeowner probably go ahead and get?
Absolutely.
Anytime they already put money into it, they need to be
so
insured.
anytime there's a builder and a homeowner involved, whether it's cash or not, everybody's got an interest, right?
Okay.
There's profit over and profit for the builder, and there's what the owner has in it. And there's, just like if we're talking about a beach house, which is what we typically do here, there are again three exposures here. There's what is the hazard exposure, or fire, theft, vandalism. There is a windstorm exposure, and there is a flood exposure, okay? So each of those policies, again, have to be bought separately, and they work differently. The flood policy, you buy it at inception, you get an elevation certificate based on what it's gonna be on a building that's not even there.
Okay.
And then you make that purchase, right? And that policy can transition into a permanent policy. You don't need to buy another one, you just transition it.
Now, when they buy that on what it's supposed to be, do you have to go back and get a certification on how much it actually is?
Yeah, so there's a difference between what you think it's going to be and what you plan on it and what it actually comes out.
Okay.
Usually it's dead on the money, but that's the surveyors are very accustomed to that, and that you do have to get a final elevation certificate for the county as well as for your insurance.
Okay.
So moving on from that, there is windstorm. Okay, and windstorm covers for the peril of wind and hail. Very important to buy your windstorm before anything happens. Because if you have the first piece of wood that's brought onto the property, the rate doubles immediately.
Really?
Yeah. So you have to.
So before anything's even delivered, you need to buy it.
You need to buy the windstorm. It saves you 50% on your cost of your insurance.
And that will cover, say they put the pilings in, get the floor done, and they've got just the frame, the 2x4s, the rafters, and it's strong, but it's stronger when there's siding and roof decking put up.
Sure.
So I've seen before where we get a storm, or in Houston especially, and that folds up because the wind works it. That's what that would cover.
Yeah, the windstorm would cover that portion, and it's kind of a sliding scale. So you insure it for 100% of the replacement cost, right?
Right.
And you get this rate. And it's a different risk exposure, but that's a sliding up. So let's say you're 40%
as you build.
Yeah, let's say you're 40% into the build, and you have a $500,000 house, and you're 200 in, and you have $40,000 worth of damage, or a total. That's all they're going to get you back because you haven't taken out that other loan.
Right.
The hazard portion is, well, and by the way, windstorm you can buy for a full year, you can buy for 6 months, you can buy for 8 months. You don't have to buy it. You don't have to buy it for a full year. And if you buy it for 6 months because you think your build is going to take 6 months, you can always renew it.
Right.
So conversely, If you buy it for a year and you're done in 8 months, you get 4 months back.
Okay.
Okay.
So
And
during the building process, it's whatever the building process is until it's closed
till
on
it's
it.
because once it's closed, it's no longer a building risk exposure. Okay. So then that money comes back to whoever purchased the policy.
Right.
All right. That is not a transferable policy.
Okay.
You have to rewrite a new policy based on final WPH certification and that sort of thing to get that done.
Okay.
So moving to the hazard, right? So that's the third one, and that's kind of a funny policy. Again, those come in because they're issued in the private markets. They're all built differently. Some of them are 6-month policies. Some of them are 1-year policies. Some of them are actual cash value policies, meaning like they're depreciated value.
Right.
Some of them are replacement cost policies.
So you need to read the fine print.
You need to know or have someone that does that for you.
Right.
There's also policies that cover vandalism. There's policy and theft. There's those that don't.
Okay.
Okay. Material in transit, material on the ground. So you need to know what kind of policy you're getting, and with this, you kind of get what you're paying for. And it's okay to get an actual cash value policy if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, as long as you know exactly what you're getting and what you're doing.
And most lenders do require replacement cost.
But as far as explaining all this, you can give the insured options.
Yep.
Okay, if you do a cash replacement, if you do this, and sort of go through and point them in the direction that you feel comfortable.
Yeah, all of this can get really confusing. So, flood is kind of what it is for the most part. Windstorm, we will stress with an insured if they're buying it that they need to buy it up front. Okay. And for builders, there's different options.
Right.
For the hazard policy, we will generally talk, and on the windstorm policy, we will generally encourage someone to buy a year and then cancel it, because
that way it doesn't get,
what
if
you forget, right? What if something happens? So it's better to buy that year and then cancel it. For the hazard, we will generally just go with the replacement cost policy because the difference in cost is not a lot. But sometimes, people are looking at rate and it's expensive, and it's $250 difference.
Right.
$250 can sound like a lot, or it's nothing.
Right.
So,
well, and it could save you in the long run, depending on if it takes you 8 months. And we saw this 2 or 3 years ago, lumber was going up so quick that, from the time you bought it to the time you closed on it, if it was 6-8 months, it might be another 20%.
Well, that's true. And so also, what if you're looking at that saving $250 and one covers material theft and the other one doesn't?
Right.
That's a potentially big loss.
Great.
So,
insurance is a tricky deal, and so make sure you feel comfortable with your agent. Dan's been down here family's been down here on Bolivar for 40 plus years, been in the business for years, has a great staff that each one of them sort of know a certain area, and who covers a lot of the coastal stuff down
Jamie. Jamie does most of it.
She stops by here every once in a while when she's down here talking to customers, but you really, especially in the coastal region, you really want to have an insurance agent that knows the area and knows what you need and has been through storms. Dan went through Ike, went through Burl, went through Imelda, went through your business
Rita,
and stuff,
Rita
and all that. And so, experience takes care of a lot of customers in the long run. So for more information, the best thing to do is go to their website, priestinsuranceragency.com, fill out the contact form so that there's a way to track everything. And if you have a question, maybe they answered it earlier, you can go back to an email, and you can always make that phone call to them. They've got a great staff that really works hard for their customers. So, Dan, you fished the other week with your buddies.
We did.
How was it?
We had a great time. Caught a lot of stuff, did some different things.
And you caught some shrimp too.
We went shrimping.
That's going to be another story.
We did.
So anyway, we're going to head on out. Hope you enjoyed the show. Until next time, I'm David with Bolivar Live. Y'all have a great day, great week. Come see us. God bless, and bye-bye. Video equipment is sponsored by Crystal Beach Decor and More, located at 1959 Highway 87 in Crystal Beach, Texas, and Beachy Beatnik Boutique and Jewelry, located at 970 Surfside and Highway 87 in Crystal Beach, Texas. Thank you to these two businesses for being our 2025 video equipment sponsor for Bolivar Live.